In this video, I wanted to talk about Rudy Gobert and the whole idea that he gets played off the floor in the playoffs and that he's not a viable playoff player. And to do this, we're going to be going over Terance Mann's 39.73 performance in Game 6 of the Western Conference Semifinals. We're going to be going over Terance Mann's 10 3-point attempts in the Western Conference Semifinal Game 6. But before we do that, there's a couple points I wanted to touch on. The first one is that before Game 6, Terance Mann was only shooting 2.7 threes for 36 minutes, and he was only making 30.8% of them. He only shot 9 threes in the series before this game, and then he shot 10 in Game 6. During the regular season, he was shooting 2.6 threes per 36 minutes, which is similar rate to, classically non-shooters such as Elfrid Payton and Hamidou Diallo. So he's not a very willing shooter, and that's why the Jazz didn't guard him. The Jazz are willing to dare Terance Mann to shoot in order to completely wall off the rim. And they put Gobert on him, and Terance Mann stood in the corner, and Gobert would help on all the drives. And because the Jazz couldn't handle penetration, Rudy Gobert was just always in the middle of the floor, and that's more the reason why they were giving up Terance Mann threes. So if there's anyone to blame, it's really on Quinn Snyder if you want to blame his scheme, but I don't really understand why everyone wants to blame Gobert for Terance Mann's Game 6 performance. Also, very quickly before we start looking at the film of the game, Rudy Gobert has never actually been played off the floor in the playoffs. You can just go look at his basketball reference page and go look at his minutes per game. I don't know where that idea comes from, but he's never actually been played off the floor in the playoffs the last 2 seasons. In this first clip, you're going to see Paul George get a paint touch, get to about the top of the charge circle against Royce O'Neal. Rudy Gobert is going to come in and help, and then he's going to kick out to Terance Mann, who makes it 3. On the replay, you can see the Clippers run a double drag. Morris pops, and Batum will cut to the middle. Reggie Jackson is just going to kick it out to Paul George after the hedge, and then Paul George is going to get in against Royce O'Neal right here. As you see right here, he gets to right about the top of the charge circle. If Rudy Gobert is not there to help, he can turn around and shoot pretty much a 4-foot shot over Royce O'Neal, who Paul George has about 4.5 inches on. So if Rudy Gobert doesn't help here, it's basically a layup. You'd rather give Terance Mann the open 3. And then as you can see in the closeout, Rudy Gobert is willing to give him the shot. He doesn't close out very hard, and that's clearly the game plan here against this Clippers team. So in this next clip, Paul George gets a switch on a Mike Conley. He posts him up, a nice kick out to Terance Mann from the right wing, shooting a wide open 3. So as you can see in this clip, right here, Rudy Gobert is going to come to the opposite side of the lane to come help against Mike Conley. If he doesn't come help, it's basically a layup. In a traditional scheme, Bogdanovich would probably come help here, but since you have the best rim protector on planet Earth, they have Rudy Gobert come help. So if you watch this on the kickout, normally, look at the closeout that Gobert would have to make if you wanted him to close a Terance Mann. That's like 30 feet. No human being on Earth could possibly make that closeout. So to pin this on Gobert would be ridiculous. And if you watch, this is a very, very clear expectation of what the Jazz are trying to do in this game. In a normal scheme, Bogdanovich would probably come stunt or at least help at all, and then Rudy Gobert could X out to Marcus Morris maybe, or Mike Conley, or at least Donovan Mitchell could stunt. Neither of them stunt at all. They just let him shoot, and that was clearly the game plan coming into this game. So in this next clip, Rajon Rondo is going to blow right by Donovan Mitchell, kick out to Terance Mann in the corner, who misses the shot. I know this is a Derek Favors clip, but I thought that this also illustrated their scheme pretty well. So if you see Luke Kennard comes off the stagger, goes to the corner, and then Rajon Rondo just completely beats Donovan Mitchell. As you can see right here, once he opens up his hips like that, he's beat, and then right away Rajon Rondo is able to put Donovan Mitchell on his hip. And right here, Derek Favors is helping very hard off of Terance Mann. Usually in a traditional coverage, the help would come from Royce O'Neal because there's 3 people on that side, and since it's driving right up the middle, which is generally a big no-no in defense, you don't want people to drive up the middle because it's really hard to stop. But usually the help would come from Royce O'Neal. But obviously, as you can see, Derek Favors is all the way in the middle of the lane, ready to help, and they're willing to give the shot up to Terance Mann. They were all game, and he happens to miss here. This next clip, Paul George is going to get another paint touch against Royce O'Neal, kick out to a Terance Mann wide open three. So if you look right here, the way that Royce O'Neal's body is positioned, he's kind of parallel to the sideline, which is not good when you're playing defense. It allows Paul George to get right into the paint. So like, if Rudy Gobert isn't right here to help, then this is pretty much going to be a layup. But since Rudy Gobert is there, he forces a three. And on this kick out, there's no way that you can expect Rudy Gobert to make that 15-foot closeout to Terance Mann in time to contest his shot. In a normal defense, first of all, you don't help off the strong side corner, but the Jazz were clearly willing to do that against Terance Mann. And then if you want to help, if you think this guy's a threat, then the person who would help is Donovan Mitchell. But watch Mitchell on this play. He doesn't stunt. He doesn't care at all. Like, it's clearly a scheme thing. It's not on Gobert that Terance Mann will knock down this wide open corner three. So in this next clip, Reggie Jackson is going to basically walk into the paint against Mike Conley, kick out to Terance Mann, who will make another corner three from that right corner. So right here, Reggie Jackson going to just basically bully his way right into the paint. If Rudy Gobert doesn't help here, this is going to be a layup. Like, look how deep he gets. He's still pushing him further back. The only reason he doesn't continue to push Mike Conley right into the rim and shoot a layup is because Rudy Gobert is there. So on this kick out, that's when he throws it. This is when Mann catches it. You can't expect Rudy Gobert to make that like 15-foot, 17-foot closeout by the time Mann shoots the ball. It's impossible. So if you look at Donovan Mitchell, it'd be on him to stunt if you really, really respected Terance Mann to shoot the ball, which they clearly still don't. But look at the stunt from Mitchell. Like, that stunt isn't doing anything. He's still like 10 feet away from Terance Mann. So Terance Mann is going to make this shot, and it's clearly not on Gobert again. And this clip is semi-transition. Jackson kicks it to Mann in the corner, gets a wide open look and misses. So what happens here is that Batum sets this nice little exit screen, so then Mike Conley doesn't get to Terance Mann to close out, but also like this, Gobert is kind of camped in the paint because this is semi-transition. Not really on Gobert, not really on anyone. Just a nice little play from the Clippers, and Terance Mann misses the shot. So in this next clip, look what Reggie Jackson does to Jordan Clarkson. Gobert comes to help, he kicks it out, and Terance Mann will knock down this wide open corner three. So we watch this move again. It's really good. Jackson comes up the court in transition, crossover behind the back, right by Jordan Clarkson, and Gobert has to help. If Gobert doesn't help, this is a wide open layup. It's probably a dunk. So this is where Reggie Jackson throws a kickout pass. Look at where Gobert is. There's no possible way. So this is where Terance Mann is on the catch. That's where Gobert is. That's like a 24-foot closeout. There's no possible way that Rudy Gobert could make that closeout by the time Terance Mann shoots the ball. If it's on anyone, if they really respected Terance Mann right now as a shooter, which they still don't, it'd be on Joe Ingles to stunt and help, but he doesn't. He just stays on Marcus Morris. Gobert, that's where he gets to, because he's not hustling to close out because they still don't respect him as a shooter, and Terance Mann is going to knock down this open shot. In this clip, Reggie Jackson is going to blow right by Jordan Clarkson again, kick out to Terance Mann again, who makes another shot from that left corner. So if you look at this play, no screen, nothing, just a straight blow by. Like right here, he's already by him. Just like, look at Jordan Clarkson's footwork right here. And then right there, he opens up his hips completely. And it's basically just, he's letting him get to the rim. He's on his hip right there. And Gobert has to help, otherwise this is a wide open layup. So Gobert is here when the pass is thrown. When Terance Mann catches the ball, Gobert is there. That's a 20-foot closeout. There's no possible way Gobert can make that. If you look at what the Jazz are doing, Joe Ingles kind of sort of stunts a little bit, so that's different. But still, like, Gobert, he closed out a little bit harder this time, but there's no way that you can expect him to properly contest this shot from where he was helping from. This, again, is not on Gobert. In this clip, there's going to be another straight blow by right to the rim, a paint touch for Paul George. Gobert helps, and Mann gets another open look, which he misses this time. So what happens here, Paul George, series of moves on Royce O'Neal. This spin right here gets him into the brim, and if Gobert isn't standing right there, Paul George is going to take one more dribble, and he's going to shoot a layup. He picks up his dribble because Rudy Gobert is there. And this play, Terance Mann actually started in the dunker spot, and then he popped out to the corner, so Gobert was already in nice help position. Patrick Beverley lifted to free throw line extended on the right wing. So Paul George makes this kickout pass. Gobert is there on the catch. Gobert is right there. There's no way that he can possibly make that closeout after helping. If the Jazz really respected Terance Mann as a shooter, which they probably still don't, it would be an X out and Donovan Mitchell would be responsible for this help. But Mitchell is there. He doesn't stun or anything. He kind of just watches him shoot. Gobert tries to close out a little bit harder this time. Mann gets an open shot and he just misses this time. So in this clip, there's going to be another straight blow by again. Gobert comes to help. Paul George makes a nice pass. One more to Terance Mann, who makes a three from that left corner again. So the way that this started was there's an inverted pick and roll right here to get Donovan Mitchell switched onto Paul George. Paul George hits him with the between the leg cross to get right by him, like right there. Donovan Mitchell's completely beat. The only person that can help is Rudy Gobert. If Gobert doesn't help here, it's a wide open layup. So actually on this play, like the Jazz are finally doing something more conventional. They have Mike Conley on the weak side splitting two. So wherever Paul George passes it to, whether it be Terance Mann or Batum, that's where Conley is going to close out to here. Paul George makes a pretty nice wraparound pass to get it to Nicholas Batum right here. And then Conley is going to close out. So it is Gobert's responsibility to close to the corner here. I don't know what Quinn Snyder told them in the last timeout or whatever. So I don't know if this is Gobert's responsibility to close out. But the way you can see Donovan Mitchell and Bogdanovich reacting with their hands up, like looking around confused, I think this was actually Rudy Gobert's fault. I think he was supposed to close out here and he just doesn't. And Terance Mann is going to hit this three. This was his 7-3, 10th attempt of the night. So some key takeaways that I have after watching that film that we just went over is that the Jazz could not contain any of the players on the perimeter. Pretty much all of the shots for Terance Mann were created by blow-bys on the perimeter. Actually, 9 out of the 10 shots were created from straight blow-bys. They're getting blown by Paul George, Reggie Jackson, even like Rajon Rondo. And I'd only classified one of Terance Mann's three-point attempts as Gobert at fault, which is the last one, where he didn't properly execute that coverage that they were playing. But besides that, it was all on the Jazz perimeter players, and it was all on their system or scheme or game plan, whatever you want to call it. But Gobert was clearly not at fault to me. To me, that whole Terance Mann 39-point thing was more at the fault of perimeter players such as Jordan Clarkson, Donovan Mitchell, even Royce O'Neal, or you can blame Quinn Snyder for the game plan. But to me, like, Gobert was clearly not at fault for what happened in that game. So that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe.